Let's go to our first panel discussion of the day on cloud strategy in a 5G era. Now don't forget you can send in your questions just through the app, just on that side panel down there. They come straight through to me in the studio. I get through as many of those as I can. So it's a real pleasure for me to introduce first of all Alexis Kuala, Director Operations Strategy and Transformation at Orange. We have Darren Bowling, Global Head of Cloud at Atos, and Sho Ohayon, Head of Cloud Transformation Programme at Amdocs. Hello to all of you. Thank you so much for joining us here at Cloud and 5G Live.
Hello.
Great to see you all. Good morning,
Hello.
good morning.
Good morning.
Now, just to say, I'm incredibly jealous. Our tech team were asking all of you what you had for breakfast today, and with each one I was getting progressively more jealous. But I'm not going to hold that against any of you because we've got a lot to get through over the next half an hour or so. Where I'd like to start first is with a bit of context, because it's so easy to lose track of the sheer amount of progress that's been made and the influence 5G has had on cloud strategy. Alexis, I'll start with you if I can before opening it up to the rest of you. For you, how much of a game changer has 5G been when it comes to cloud strategy? How much has it completely changed the landscape?
Yeah, thank you. Today, cloud 5G is a new era, but also a new challenge when it comes to customers to improve the quality on demand, to provide the best connectivity we can provide, because Orange is a telco company. To provide the best connectivity easily, quickly, faster, in a secure way. And cloud 5G with cloud environment will provide and enable this ambition.
Darren, if I can come to you next, same question, please. How much of a game changer do you feel it's been?
Yeah, so I think previously cloud strategies were often dependent on fixed, high latency or regional constraint networks. 5G starts to remove those barriers, and you can enable like edge compute or real-time analytics or IoT developed services at scale very quickly, and you're not kind of stuck in a world where you're dependent on high frequency cables somewhere into a centralized location.
Absolute real change. And Shai, come to you, same question on that. How much of a game changer for you?
Yeah, I completely agree with Darren and Alexis on the capabilities of the 5G. And as we saw, 5G is coming with the ultra low latency, the accessibility for all, and of course the speed. Now the question is, for speed, do we really need a game changer? I think not, and we all believe that speed is not the name of the game for 5G. But the real change is in the ultra-low latency and the availability in edge locations, in the ability to build edge locations and to extend the cloud into more closed locations to the user and to the customer themselves.
I think you've all brilliantly broken down so many of the benefits there of 5G when it comes to cloud strategy. Darren, if I can start with you on this one, if we're really sticking with the strategy element of this, for you, why is a cloud strategy really tailored for 5G technology so important to make sure it's really moving with the improvements and the developments of the times?
So I think, just to build on my previous point, if you think about 5G and cloud, you go from what I would call a centralized model to a decentralized model. So the manner in which you're able to deploy services or offer services aren't in a centralized environment. They can become quite decentralized, and you can push decision making or services to the edge really quickly and enable that to happen at the edge, rather than having to obtain data centrally, analyze that data, then push it back out again. 5G enables you to decentralize that strategy much further and much quicker.
Shai, if I can come to you with the same question, please.
Yeah, so we're looking at when we're looking at the tailors of the cloud to 5G, or the way that the cloud is tailored to 5G. I think that what we're looking at is really the expansion of the edge location and the ability to do the network slicing or it became such a bad word, network slicing, but still it is the strategy of the cloud to allow and to serve network components inside this grid of the 5G, closer to their locations of where we couldn't do them, we couldn't place them ever before. And now with the ultra low latency and the promises of the 5G and the next era, then cloud is becoming a lot more integrated into the grid itself and into the network in a whole.
Thank you, Shai. Alexis.
Yeah, thank you. So cloud is and 5G are tied because 5G is cloud native based, so you cannot deploy, operate 5G if you are not able to set up and operate a cloud native environment. And this cloud native environment will provide you the ease and the speed of deploying, changing, and also, as Shane was talking previously, creating and managing slice, because one of the key capabilities of 5G is creating slides on the fly, providing and provisioning, and then managing this slide with scaling and creating what I say on-demand quality for customers as they use, as they grow. And the only thing to do is a cloud environment. You cannot do it manually, even in a cloud premise environment internally, because you will not be able to scale and to respond correctly to the customer needs.
Again, we've been breaking down some of those particular benefits of tailoring the strategy for the 5G environment. One thing I often like to ask is, over the last few years, we will have seen these benefits come through. What I'd love to know from all of you, though, have there been any particular benefits that have really surprised you, that have actually gone further and faster than you may not have expected otherwise? Shai, if I could start with you, has there been any aspects that have particularly surprised you about the benefits they've brought?
Well, I would say that the acceleration of the network services has surprised me a little bit. We know that we've in the network world we've talking about the virtualization of network elements for a long while, and I think that with the build of the edge locations and the technologies that 5G allows us with the dynamic resource allocation and provision services in a lot more accelerated way. The way that VNFs and NCFs are shaping up is a little surprising to me.
That's interesting. Alexis, same question, please.
Yeah. So with 5G, I would say, like Shane, with edge computing, with also the era of IT, how you can create and deploy and manage several devices, could be IoT device or handset, with several locations to provide the bandwidth and the best coverage of connectivity. And also, I was talking about slicing. It's something that is new. More than slice, we have also mobile private network, where we need cloud environment to be able to operate and create and support B2B customers.
Darren, the same question to you, please. Anything that surprised you? I know it's an unusual question, but it's often interesting to see which things have maybe sort of come up on the blind side slightly. You didn't expect to have such an impact, and maybe it has.
I think it's a bit of a left field answer, I guess, but the speed of adoption of the technology blended together. I think of a European airline who used to procure fixed network investments into their temporary routes that they would fly for skiing or summer holiday routes in Europe, suddenly flipped on its head, whereby don't need to buy that long term, even though they fly there for a short period of time. They actually provide their crew with a 5G device that would be flown out that first time that they fly, and that 5G device is then dropped in their crew room, and then the IT is local to them and and connects to the cloud. So it's disrupting an industry or giving flexibility at a board level really, really quickly. And the speed of adoptions happened rapidly as well. And I guess I didn't expect, quite sensitive or regulated in sectors to pick up on the technology and drive it as quickly as they have.
Now that is really interesting, Darren, because I did want to get on to speed of adoption later, but you've brought it up now, so I'm going to stick with that for a second if I can. Shai, if I can come to you with that thread about speed of adoption, has that surprised you at all? Has it been quicker, more effective than you initially thought?
Actually, it came a little slower than I expected, but we're still trying to figure out what is 5G and what are the uses of 5G. I think that in a lot of ways we're still waiting for the killer app, if you will, for 5G, or what is the game changer that the 5G can enable. If we look at previous generations, then the 4G would be the streaming generation, where Netflix came to picture and the streaming of the likes. Maybe AI is the one technology that will require 5G to really burst out and come out and surprise us all. I'm for the speed of adoption, I'm still a little hesitant if it was completely accepted by the world.
No, that's fascinating. Exactly why we put the question out there. Alexis, if I can come to you next on that and your thoughts of speed of adoption.
Yeah, for the fifth, I would say Shai, because the technology is well understood, is very promising, but the speed of adoption depends on the use case regarding the business. And today, most of the use cases I can see from Orange is to provide, I may say, internal slices to work internally. But when it's come to find use cases with B2B or B2C, it's very hard to operate. It's very hard to deploy because we need first to fill one gap, what is automation. You cannot deploy and operate 5G if you are not able to determine and automate your workflow and your processes. And the speed of adoption of 5G is a little bit broken by this automation level to be able to adopt fully the 5G.
Thank you very much, Alexis. Where I want to go next is not wanting to be negative, but we're talking about all of this progress. Do you feel there is a risk to organisations if they don't fully integrate sort of their cloud strategy and 5G strategies together in this new era? Darren, if I can start with you, is there a real risk there if it's not properly embraced?
Yeah, I think the risk is if you don't do it right, you get left behind. What is the competition doing? Are they gaining speed? Are they driving flexibility? Are they reducing costs because they're able to do those things more locally because you have to bring everything in again? We seeing automation in manufacturing with 5G, the talk of 30 to 40% cut down on downtime within a factory because of it. If you don't do those things, if you're not doing those things, I think you will get left behind.
Shai, if I can come to you next, please.
Yeah, absolutely, and I completely agree with Darren. The industries that are in need for 5G, if they are not adopting 5G and the cloud capabilities, then they're risking themselves of getting left behind. I will come from the other angle, maybe of being the critique of the panel, but to say that if your organization is not in need for 5G, then there's no risk of being left behind, right? We have the Wi-Fi technologies, wireless technologies that are competing to 5G, and they're good enough. But from an Amdocs perspective, like when we're looking at our customers are mainly the telecom industry, and there's no way for them not to adopt the technology and to implement it fully. Alexis will probably add to me coming from a telecom company, but yeah, if you want to go, Alex.
Yeah, thank you, Shane. Definitely, if you are not able to implement both 5G deployment strategy with a cloud environment to to enable or to support this 5G deployment, you will be left behind. And more than that, maybe you will die because today everything is becoming standardized, API, data model, and so on. So if you are not able to build this strategy, this infrastructure to deploy your use cases based on 5G, definitely from the business side, you will be eaten by others.
One thing I did want to return to quickly before I move on to some advice on actually constructing these kind of strategies was something you were saying earlier, Shai, about AI and about whether that is the killer app that really helps push 5G. I know one thing I've really taken from the event already today is this ecosystem, how cloud, 5G, AI are all interacting, all developing each other, all pushing each other in different ways. Do you think this is something we're really going to be seeing in the very near future, how the exponential growth of AI functions within all kinds of different technologies is really, really going to turbocharge this change in this particular ecosystem? Do you really feel that is the killer app that continues to push this particular system?
I'm really hopeful for a killer app like AI to come in, or technology or a platform in the general sense, the technology to come into the world that will enable us take advantage of those generations that we're bringing in. Currently, we see that the end user will probably not understand the difference between the different generations. But as we go closer to real-time applications where the end user is in need, like the IoTs, our smart homes, the autonomous cars for sure, medical services, remote surgeries, even remote education, all of those will be needing those ultra-low latency services, edge locations, and everything that 5G brings with it. So I really believe, and I'm really hopeful that AI and the applications of AI are what bringing 5G closer to the stage.
Darren, if I can come to you next on that, please.
Yeah, I think humans and AI will push this forward, right? So I think if you think of autonomous cars, and if you think of our demand on what we expect technology to do and be for us in the future, I think that the AI as a concept will AI it's here will drive the demand on 5G. You know, if you look at Optimus, the Tesla robot, you know, that's really connected. Right, that's connected into a local network. Right, that's not going to be centralized. That will be a decentralized service for our friend Mr. Musk. Right, so the human technology and vice versa that will push both the cloud and the 5G to deliver the service.
Alexis?
Yeah, just to add some few words, I think for 5G, cloud, and AI today, I think it's three things that are tied very close. And today you can think about from the AI perspective, what is the network model or graph you need to design to support the usage and the deployment, the constitution of AI. When I talk about AI, it's about asset, AI capabilities, and so on. So that to build your networks, to provide the capability for AI to execute or to compute. But you can also think from the network side, how do you leverage the AI in your networks to be able to operate, build secure and resilient networks to provide the best connectivity to your customer? I think these two levels of way of using AI or embracing AI is a very exciting challenge for Orange today. And and I think it's the way to go to think about the AI and also from the network perspective.
Just to return to what we were saying about being left behind and making sure your strategy is fit for purpose when you're trying to embrace this kind of technology, I'd love to get some advice from all three of you really about how you go about developing the strategy to make sure it's it's fit for purpose and actually does what you're looking for it to do. Alexis, your thoughts on that first? Where do you start? How do you make sure you're putting together an effective strategy in that field?
Yeah, today the strategy, I would say, is not simple, but the way to do it, at Orange, we are embracing 5G, cloud, and AI with an approach with what we call platform engineering, to build everything, put everything in a platform so that we can hide the complexity of the network, the complexity of our architecture, so that we can leverage and export API for consumption and also create slice to support this B2B needs. So the platforming is our starting point to embrace and to build this strategy with 5G and cloud.
Darren, if I can come to you next on that, please.
Yeah, so I think the first thing you need to know is your infrastructure, right? So reassess, work out where your workloads need low latency, which should be moved closer to the user. Is there business benefit of moving that service or solution closer to the user? Then look at how you distribute your workloads around that reassessed architecture or IT infrastructure that you have, and then understand how you need to slice that network accordingly around the cloud usage. And then maybe you need to potentially look at the security over that as well. That's kind of how I would start, or a place to start.
That's a good place to start, and we will be coming back to security in just a moment. Shai, if we can come to you next on that, please.
Yeah, absolutely, and brilliant points by both Alexis and Darren on developing such a strategy. Platform engineering, I think, is a must in such a strategy, and then the understanding of characteristics of this technology is also crucial to implement it properly. When we are developing a 5G to cloud strategy, or how does our cloud instantiation looks like when we are developing a 5G grid, then I looking at the top down, then it means that the organization have mandated or have requested all of the users to think in cloud native mode, in a cloud first, if you will. Maybe it's a little archaic word, but still very much relevant to our world. Going into a cloud native, cloud first, build your workloads and build everything that is new in the cloud stack. Then understand the technology itself, understand 5G. What does it enable you? What does it give you when you go into cloud applications? Where do you really need it in your supply chain or for your organization to use this technology? Because it's not one size fits all, and not all of us need the 5G technologies incorporated and built inside our applications. But there are certain aspects of our supply chain that are crucial for and can benefit from 5G technologies using the cloud. And of course, then, as Darren mentioned, where are you distributing your workloads? How do you distribute them? Where are you using edge locations? And how do you centralize? What do you centralize of your services? And what can you distribute out in order to service your customers better? All of those are critical elements and aspects to look at when you develop a strategy.
Thank you, Shai. Well, we've been very glass half full on that, but it'd be remiss of me to have three guests of your experience with me and ask for a bit of advice and your thoughts on what you shouldn't do. What are the common mistakes you see? And don't worry, I'm not going to push you for names if it's any examples you want to do. I would not do that to you. Darren, if I can start with you, I'm afraid, as I said, we're going to be a bit glass half empty on this one. What are the common mistakes you see and the things to avoid?
I think there can be a rose-tinted glasses on approach, right? So ignoring security shifts. So if there's more endpoints, or you're embedding more endpoints in your network or service, you're open to more. There's more attack surface if from a security perspective. If you've not considered edge computing, so you're using the 5G, but you deem it almost like a network upgrade, right? So there's no thought process of actually using the 5G, crunching data locally and making the decision locally, and then only bringing back the data you need. So you just purely see that as a speed increase, right? So it's not being used in the manner it should be. I think those for me are mistakes that organizations make, that they see it as a bandwidth increase and don't see it as anything else.
Yeah, just a bandwidth increase and not the revolution it absolutely is. Shai, same question to you, please. You've had a moment or two to get your thoughts in line on this one.
Yeah, absolutely. So mistakes are all over us, right? But we'll try to stay a little more positive than that. I would highlight the idea of the lift and shift for organizations. Sometimes an organization wants to move to the cloud as fast as anyone, and they will mistaken of thinking that the whole stack needs to be lifted and shifted, while looking and analyzing the workloads that they have on-prem and the way that they fit into the cloud, especially in the 5G era, and especially with edge locations that were never part of our design of architecture for applications on-prem. We never thought of edge locations because we never had edge locations on-prem. We had our data centers, and this is where we had to implement our workload. So thinking of the lift and shift of the whole stack is a little too conclusive. And I would advise to avoid this mistake, but rather lift and shift whatever is a must, but try to build your stack from scratch on certain aspects of your organization.
Very good advice. Alexis, if I can come to you next on that, please.
Yeah, just quickly. I think the common mistake I have seen is rushing very fast in the solution without taking into account some aspects like your operating model, which is key to deliver the value you are creating, and also the culture of your organization. Because if you are rushing the technology without taking into account the culture of people who will deliver or build, you will hit the wall. And sometimes biggest or companies or organizations forgot, I may say, the culture aspect, which is very key to drive change and embrace new approach or new technology.
Yeah, you can never underestimate the importance of culture during that kind of change. Darren, you mentioned earlier about the security considerations, so I'd like to stick with that if I absolutely can. As you say, the surface area is greatly increased the more sort of inputs you have to the system. For you, what other key considerations are there, Darren, for you, that people should take into consideration when constructing this kind of strategy in the 5G era?
So I think 5G has changed, and the pandemic has changed the way we work and how we connect with the world. Right, this is an example of that. So I think traditionally we were very much a coconut approach to our networks and our infrastructure, very hard on the outside, hard to get in, but once you're in, you could potentially get anywhere. And I think the world's changed, especially 5G, and the world that we live in has changed to more of that avocado approach. Actually, what we need to do is verify who you are and understand the device you're using, a thin layer of that avocado around the edge, let you in a little bit, give you access to what we think you need. And then as you get closer to our core or the core data, it's really hard. It's that stone in the middle. So I think a lot of organizations either do one very well and then that hampers our ability to give services broadly and widely to our people and our customers easier to consume that service, or they do them far too well and they don't do that check and that verification of who you are and where you are, and they're using services that deliver that technology on the edge as that security technology on the edge as well. So I think for me, security shift culture has happened, and that is both the technology and our demand on the technology because of the environment we've been living the last few years.
Now, Darren, you've absolutely raised the bar on the analogy front. It was a double fruit analogy, which is going to take some beating today and any other day. Absolutely spells it out perfectly. Alexis, if I can come to you next on that, your thoughts on security, and if you can squeeze in a fruit analogy, then all power to you.
Yeah, okay. So security, as Darren said previously, because 5G is coming with software, like everything is containerized, put in a software way. Security is become a key because you can attack or you can intercept some HTTP request or transaction. And security today, in France, for instance, we have a local regulation where we call it ANSSI. It's they are very paying question on 5G deployment because there are some maybe not potential attacks, but some risk if we are not. We build containers with network function which are not really protected by external attacks. So we have several norms and requirements to fulfill at local level and also from European countries and also in Africa when we'll deploy 5G. And security is becoming not a new business, but something 5G is providing and putting on the table as a challenge.
Shai, if I can come to you on this one last, please.
Yeah, and I'll take the food analogy, but it's interesting to hear Alexis saying that Africa, when we deploy 5G, and I think that we need to really think about that. There are places in the world that 5G is still not common, and we treat it, probably in Europe and in the US, we treat it as a commodity, but still we need to realize that 5G is not a common technology around the world. So thank you so much, Alexis, for that. As for security, I think that the phrase that I really use is that there's only one consideration. It's a zero trust approach. We have to elevate ourselves into a zero trust, completely zero trust. There's no more secure domains and unsecure domains. The perimeter, as Darren mentioned, is so thin right now, right? It's like the avocado layer. It's an avocado shell. We want to make it, if you will, a watermelon shell. Very thick, very, very unpenetrated, but then to think of how do we keep the security inside the organization as well, because we cannot trust anymore, not because of malicious, not because of vandalism or any boot, but rather because of the accessibility that we allow to our users, that everybody can access every bit of information almost using AI and using mechanisms that we are not really sure how are they calling our network. So we want to make sure that everything is verified, everything is authorized, everything is on the need-to-know basis, even if it's an inside user of the organization, and for sure, everything that goes out. We're talking about reputation, we're talking about branding, we're talking about even malicious AI, if you will, that will go out from the organization and will create a damage on behalf of the organization. So this is another security consideration that we will want to take care of. How are we protecting our AI, the AI that we are creating, to be secured enough, to be cultured enough, to be close to human, if you will, so we trust it and have confidence in it.
Thank you, Shah. You saw the coconut and you saw the avocado from Darren, and you raised him a watermelon, which is a line I never thought I'd say at a Cloud and 5G event and never will be said ever again. We are rapidly running out of time, gents, so I would like to look to the future if we can. For all of you, what comes next? What's the future potential in this area as we look towards the next era, as we push forward? Alexis, if I could start with you, please.
So the next, I may say that in telco world, company like Orange, we are changing not everything, but we are moving to a new level of how we manage and operate our network in the future with 5G, and then paving the way to 6G, but we are not there yet. But for 5G, we are redesigning the way we deliver the connectivity and the way we create and capture the value and deliver the value to our customer. So it's I may say, telco company with IT mindset, because 5G is pushing us to softwareize and cloudify our network.
Shai, if I can come to you next, that same question on the future, please.
Yeah, absolutely, and I completely agree with Alexis on the breadth of the 6G. But I think that what we're looking at is only the beginning of all these new technologies that are coming in, right? And every end is another beginning. I'm looking at 5G as an interim step or an interim phase between the 4G to the 6G. This is generation that we teach ourselves what are the new capabilities of the network and what is this network enablement is allowing us to fulfill. So I think we talked enough of AI, but another technology that is just coming around the corner is the quantum technology. And if we're looking into quantum, then quantum will probably require better network and better accessibility between those nodes that will sprung up around the world. And I think that this is our future. This is where the future will be. The network will not stop. The speed will go on further. Latency will reduce probably. And we need to prepare ourselves. We want to prepare ourselves for better technology, better network enablement, and better services to our customers.
And I think the network maturity globally is that's well, if we had more time, we could talk about that for another half an hour quite easily, how some areas, as you were saying earlier, Alexis, in Africa do have 5G, others don't. Other parts of the world have got better connectivity. Again, that's a whole other subject that unfortunately we don't have time for. Darren, I'll give you the final word if I can. Your thoughts on the future as we look ahead to the next era.
Yeah, no fruit or vegetable analogies. Unfortunately,
desperately disappointing. I expected better.
Yeah, I think I'll go back to my point that I labour a lot. I think it will be a human-driven thing. I think we are moving to an ultra-immersive world. Where we're seeing, the metaverse and the Web 3.0, and those demands will just put, like Alexis and Shai said, they will put a huge demand on the network. So we will probably need to be, utilizing 5G, 6G, and we'll probably start seeing self-optimizing networks, right? If we look at the future, whereby the human demands something and the network reacts, or the customer demands something and the network or the cloud reacts accordingly, because we're such a demanding race and humans, right? We demand new things all of the time, right here, right now. We're demanding, how can we deliver blood quicker? Can we use 5G? Can we use maps and stuff like that? What can we do better, faster, and quicker? So I think we will see things like that optimizing AI optimizing network, and the network do that because of the demands that we put on it ourselves.
Thank you, Darren. And very, very quickly, we have just had a little rush of questions come in, and so I'll just jump to one, if I can, on my screen here. This is from Ajay Varma. Thank you very much, Ajay. What role will AI play in optimizing cloud strategies for 5G networks, and how can this benefit various industries? Shai, if I could just start with you on that, just 30 to 60 seconds on that, please.
Yeah, so not as an AI expert, but really looking at all the capabilities that AI brings. I think that looking at the network and looking at optimizing services, and even concluding or deducing between the cloud and the 5G and how to merge between them, AI will play a significant role on building, optimizing, redesigning things that as humans we may have missed. Although we're all smart and we all have our network intelligence, I think that once AI will come into the picture in a lot more intense way, we will see redesigns of networks, maybe even new protocols, maybe even new routing protocols of the network to enhance and to accelerate the speeds of it.
Thank you, Shai. Alexis, if I can come to you quickly on that same question, please.
Yeah, quickly, just AI will impact our processes. It's why today we are talking about AI ops, and we see that our processes with automation will be the starting point, and where we will really leverage AI in operating our network.
Thank you. And Darren, if I can come to you very quickly on that one, please.
Sorry, network broke up. I missed that.
What role will AI play in optimizing cloud strategies for 5G networks, and how can that benefit various industries?
So I think, just echoing Shai and Alexis's point, I think handing over, like with new protocols and new efficiencies, I think AI will play a huge way of, like I was saying about optimizing networking without even asking for permission. Right, I think we'll hand over the keys or control to it, knowing that it'll optimize it for the consumer or customer accordingly. So we see it already in different healthcare settings around the world with AI making decisions on healthcare. I think we'll see it in the networking world as well, whereby we're okay with it making that decision. Right, we're okay with the AI making that call. And I see that benefiting absolutely every sector, right? I don't see a sector that doesn't benefit from that.
Absolutely. I also really enjoy the irony of the network dropping out on this particular discussion. It's typical, isn't it? Anyway, Alexis, Darren, Shai, thank you so much for joining us today here at Cloud in 5G Live. Really enjoyed your company.
Thank you.
I would ask you what you're having for lunch, but I can guarantee your lunch break is going to be longer than the networking break that I've got coming up. So I'll leave you all to it. Thank you so much for your time today. Really enjoyed your company.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure.
Thank you.